Dude, can you hear me?
Yo.
I got a power surge.
Yeah, the fuck happened, bro?
Yeah. But we're back. We are back. So sorry guys. Yeah, I had a freaking power surge here. You gotta love LA for that. You just gotta love LA for that. Yeah, I just shut down my computer. I had to restart it real quick. But we're back. Yeah, so I had another question. So it's more of like a workflow thing. And so the way I'm thinking is like I want to create like very elaborate, like cool shapes, and going with network is a pretty good route, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can add points. Like let's create something really crazy here. So let's start adding some points. So we can just modify it so it becomes this like crazy shape.
Dude, I hear that people say the screen is black, so.
Oh, let me see what's going on here.
A red question mark.
Oh, there you have it. Should be back now. Okay, so yeah, so I'm creating this crazy, surface right here. Basically networking those splines into this crazy surface. So my question is, and I'm having some troubles with it, is this. So one option to work with this would be just to shell it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if I go offset shell, but then obviously the issue becomes the similar that we talked about when it comes to fillets, right? Where because it's basically using perpendicular angles based on the tangent of the line, right? So for instance, it's tangenting this light and then perpendicularly going this way, and this one goes here and then goes that way, and then it becomes this kind of weird overlapping thing because of the calculation. So that's annoying, right? Like we don't want that. So another way obviously to do it would be just to copy and paste and then sort of like merge those two together, right? To become the surface. So how do you do that? Like, I don't know. I want to know. Would you loft those two surfaces? You cannot loft surfaces though, right? You only can loft the edges. Is that correct?
Dude, you can loft surfaces, and you can also cap the ends. So you can either make a weird tunnel or like a solid.
I'll switch to your screen.
So what do you want to do right now is like have these two potato chip surfaces and
to be just thick, like just combine, like you would bridge them together. I made you a presenter so you can show me. I want to know.
Now let me see that stuff, dude. I never made a surface like that, so it would have to be like a discovery for myself too. But let's see.
Am I putting you on the spot?
Kind of, but that's okay, dude. Yeah, but this is a straight one, so that's okay. So hold on, let me just do something else here.
Someone asked me in the meantime, as you're trying to figure out, someone asked, about Fusion, whether it's a free subscription for Learn Squirt students. I think it's a little error that we did on one of our streams where we casually mentioned it's for Learn Squirt students. No, it's actually for everyone. Anyone who wants to try Fusion, it's 3 years free for student. You just put yourself as a student there, and boom, there you have it.
All right.
So if you
that's
don't
that's a cool deal.
Yeah, you don't have to be a Learn Squirt student to use it.
What I have, I think I have a solution though. I think what you can do, right, is if you have that weird surface, You can extrude it, right? Let's see, yeah, and I think you can just extrude it, dude.
Right, but you're just extruding in between, so that works obviously, and that's an easy solution.
All right, but
what if I have two, like if I get this one surface and I copy it and paste, and then I do the flow thing, the flow thing would be basically just deforming the surface, or if I just draw another surface that I want to loft together.
Okay. I understand what you want right now.
You know, like maybe I want to change the angle of it. Maybe I want to.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand your question now. But I never did that, dude. I don't know. I would have no clue how you would do that. So it's definitely something I would have to myself.
Fuck. All right.
Yeah, but that's fine, dude. Just gotta learn every day, right?
Yeah, of course. It's funny because it's actually this is the funny part. So when I told you, I asked about the flow thing, and I spoke to Vitaly, so he was under the impression that you have to be in a very specific viewport in order for it to work correctly, but that's not true apparently. Like you just have to click in the right places, and then it doesn't matter which viewport you are in. What matters is which direction the original surface is in. It's because it's basically mapping, 2D mapping.
I think I can recreate the same kind of weird thing. So let's go that way. Let's get the top view as well, so I can see what way we're going. So maybe we can do this, and then this, and then that way. And then we can go down and create like maybe from the top view something different again, right? And then we close it. So now in 3D view we have like this weird thing, and I'll curve it. Let's see if I can planar it. No, I can't. Can I extrude it? Yeah, I can't do that.
Little learning sesh.
It's a learning sesh on the spot, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
No, it's not calculation. No, is it?
Right, so someone gave me a solution where you basically control C to copy the curves and then join them and then loft, which could potentially, that could
I mean, work. I can loft it and cap it. Let's profile. Wait, it doesn't give me the cap option, which is interesting. I could also sweep it, right? So let's create a straight curve and snap it onto the straight area and sweep it along this curve and select the cap end. So, oh wait, hold on.
Maybe it's the way you drew that surface. Those
I
curves,
I think the way the curve is drawn doesn't allow it to be capped, because like obviously it goes different in multiple translations. So I think it's not well, everything should be possible.
Right.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, because I never needed to create a shape like that. So never had to learn it. What do you need this shape for?
I need it. It's important.
For what?
It's important for me to need everything that I need. Yeah, but no, like sometimes you just want to have an ability to change, like do like weird cool shape, and then do all the extrusions and everything on top of it. So that would be one of the reasons, what if you want to create, because one of the ways of working would be, let's say, I'm gonna get your volume a little down because it's popping. It should be fine now. One of the reasons why I would want to do is, like, let's say I can do all those shapes in ZBrush, or I can do a poly modeling like you shown, like as long as quads you can import and then do subdivisions on it, and you're gonna have this interesting model. But then you have to start cutting it, into pieces. If you want to have sharp edges, it just becomes more and more sort of like an exercise. A mental exercise in order to get all the things that you want to get correctly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that that's something basically that I think lofting and all the things that I'm talking about are really really important, because then you can create like weird shapes and they're already ready for you to do all the other operations that you're after. Because otherwise you sort of like have to do that mental operations in your head. Like, how do I, all right, so if I have this model which is like this weird shapes, and how do I cut it? But once I cut it, it's starting to lose volume. Like, all of those things become like more problem solving and less sort of like creation process, right? Mm-hmm. And that's exactly like where you don't want to be mentally. It's good when you want to learn the software, because then you learn how the tools work. But then it's bad if you do it that way, because then you lose the idea that you want to go after, basically. So, but yeah, it's an interesting subject, and guys, as you can see, like this is pretty interesting part here is that even someone who's as experienced as Edon, or even like Vitaly. I mean, I exchanged a couple of emails with him after the stream, because he's shown us some of the crazy stuff that he has done, and then obviously I wanted to learn more, and he was kind enough to actually answer some of those questions to me, and we figured out that he didn't knew one thing that I've learned myself. So that is a kind of cool thing when you're learning and you're trying to sort of figure out things along the way, and you realize that you don't know something and you can ask questions. So here's the deal, and then we're gonna talk a little bit after this a little bit more about your work, but sort of the segment that we started with and went into Moi, and we can do more of those streams. We're gonna definitely do more of those kind of streams. But one of the things that I wanted to sort of propose to our viewers here is, we want to try something on Twitch streams, and it might be a terrible idea. Who knows? Might be a good idea. Who knows? we'll figure it out. But it's I think it's fun, and it's worth trying. Is whoever is on the stream right now with us, whoever is subscribed to our Twitch stream, what we want to try doing is, on my next stream on next Thursday, we are going to try answer some of your technical questions. So for instance, let's say, and bear in mind, please try to think of what I know, because I'll be answering those questions. Like, don't try to like, how do you mirror in Maya? Like, I'm not gonna answer that. But let's say you have a technical issue in Fusion 360 or Photoshop, and you want to learn how, like you get stuck. Like, sometimes either me or you, Edon, or pretty much anyone who's trying to learn, you get stuck in some specific points. Like, technically I cannot do this, or I cannot do that, right? And it sucks. Like, fuck, I need to search for answers. So your only option there is go Google, and go on forums or stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna find the answer. But
yeah,
it just takes time to find the answer. But we want to try something, like we're doing those streams, and you guys are awesome by supporting us being on those streams. So why not trying something and see how it flows, and see if it's a good idea. So guys, if you have questions in regards to, and bear in mind, technical questions, let's start with technical questions. Let's make it something that I can answer. If you have questions in regards to specific tools in Photoshop or Fusion 360, I believe those two programs are the ones that I feel comfortable enough to actually answer those questions, including what brushes do you use. That's fine. You can add
the famous
one. For and it's for our listeners here on Twitch stream. Like, if you're subscribed, then, you know, submit those questions to help desk. So if you go to a Learn Squared, I can't remember what that was, but if you go to Learn Squared, you can email us any questions you have. There is a section for that, I believe. I never used it myself, so I don't even know. But there's a way to... Crap. I'll find out. I think if you go on FAQ or somewhere, there's a way to get the questions. I think it's a contact. Yeah, right at the bottom, there's a contact form. Just email those questions. And please, in your email subject, add your Twitch name. All right, so add your Twitch name so we know that you is you. And it's not like any random person. And who knows, we might open it to public too. But right now, because you know, we love you guys, we love everyone who's supporting those streams, and we want to do more of those and blah blah blah. That's one of the things we want to try and see how it goes. Maybe it's gonna be a cool thing. Maybe it's gonna suck.
It's a cool plan, dude.
Yeah, let's try it. And hey, like maybe down the future we might have some, you know, other instructors or guests to help us out in answering those questions. That would be rad too. Edon, would you be down if like someone had the Moi question to sort of like get it answered somewhere down the road? I'm not saying exactly maybe next week, but somewhere.
You mean like on a stream or
yeah, on the stream. Yeah, on the stream. Oh, no. Last thing I want to have is get you know, barraged with emails with questions. Like, fuck that. No.
Sure. I think I can find the time.
You're too busy. And everyone else is too busy. But yeah. All right. Let's figure it out. But for now, you know, any kind of questions you might have for Fusion 360 in regards of you know, creating objects and everything that is, you know, what I basically did working on, you know, Ghost in the Shell. Please go ahead and you know, use our site, go to contact form and send out an email, and we'll review it and then pick few depending on the volume. If it's going to be only a few emails, then I'll answer them all. If it's going to be a lot, then we'll obviously have to be mindful of the time we have on the stream and then answer as many as we can. But I think it's worth trying. It's worth trying and see how it goes. All right. So with that being out of the way, let's maybe jump into some QA, because there's quite a bunch of questions here.
Oh, sure. Definitely. Please.
All righty. Let's see. Let me scroll it up. Kalina is actually helping today with gathering questions. Momo is gonna be back on the streams very soon. He's just way too busy these days, and yeah, so that's why he's not with us. But he's anyone who's crying like, "Where's Momo? He's the best." Obviously, he's the best, and let's just wait. He's gonna be back. All right, for Edon, is it good to take a look at other artists' work as a reference, or is it better to get inspired real world things and making completely your own stuff?
Well, it really depends what you want to do. Like, if you want to make concepts of cars or interiors or anything, the most accurate information is from real life stuff, and not any like it's. A reinterpretation of someone's interpretation is going to be worse or more far off of the reality than it would be if you take reference directly from the source. So if you want to get inspired, or you want to look for styles, or you want to do research, definitely, you know, go on ArtStation and look at everyone and make notes and do whatever you like. But I feel that if you're going to make a weapon or an interior or anything else, do research in real life. It'll help you out so much more.
Yeah.
And you'll develop your own style in the process, because you can't get influenced by other people's decisions. So it's definitely a good reminder.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to, like, I personally stopped looking at concept art altogether. Like, there's, right. It's someone else's interpretation of how they view the world or how they view someone else's work, because might be a concept based on someone else's work already. And all that can happen is, at the end of the day, what's going to happen is, in most cases, you're just going to be influenced with it. And even though you might be, mindful of it, like, I don't really want to do the same shapes and whatnot, it's just going to go through one way or another. You might not be influenced for that one specific piece that you're working on right now, but then later down the road, you're going to be doing another one.
It'll stay in the back of your brain.
Yeah, exactly. And it will just like promenade into your work eventually. So I would say, look at the real world. And the funny thing is, the more I work in this industry and the more I, experiment with things and learn things, is the more I realize that getting outside of the sort of like the box and looking at things that are not necessarily art related help a lot. Like understanding simple things on, like, let's say your hobby is cars, right? You like creating cars, and understanding how cars are built and how they work and how engines are built. All of those things will not only help you to design better cars, obviously, but maybe you'll be asked to design something completely different that's not maybe vehicle related, but in one way or another have some relation to how engines in the car work, right?
Exactly.
And you will like, okay, in the engine itself, this works this way, this works that way. What if that fucking sci-fi tower that I'm building, like, if it had the same mechanism that would just do this and that and that. Like there's so many things that you can add into your designs from what you learn by by knowing pretty much anything about life, so
exactly,
it's like every single thing that you learn, and the less, it's like, it's good to spend a lot of time on one thing, because then you become a master of it. But it's also a good thing to step outside of that every now and then and look at the wider view and explore not only art itself, but get interested in other topics. Maybe finding some cool podcasts or doing some researches around about things that are not necessarily art related, because then those avenues will spark ideas that you never thought you would have. You would never think that, oh damn, like I never thought I could create something like this or that, because I never was interested in that. So you're a good example. Like you love weapons, right? Like you love exploring guns, right? Like you like guns. Is that true? You like guns? Yeah, there you go. And when I look at the gun designs you do, they make a lot of sense because you already know how they work. But if you were just like, I love making art and making designs and I love designing guns, but I don't give a fuck about guns themselves, then those guns would not look as realistic or wouldn't have that small thing in them in their design that would make them look like, all right, this makes sense, Because another question is like, what is the design? Oh, the design is understanding the world. Really, that's what it is. And the more you understand the world, the better designer you become. So cool.
What's the next question?
Yeah, could you explain the difference of a professional 3D modeler and a concept artist who use 3D as a tool to me?
Well,
couldn't guys like Maciej do the same as a 3D pro?
Well, what does pro mean? I mean, getting paid for something, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
So I guess both are. So both would be the same, but I think like I'll assume that what you mean with a professional 3D modeler is like a production modeler, like on in-house team or VFX team. Basically, what they would do is, so let me explain the difference between 3D concept art or and production art. So, if you see, like, let's say I have to make a render of this device, right? Yeah. I'll quickly do this in Moy, and I'll export, and it's going to be all like dirty quads and terrible topology, etc., etc. And all I have to do is put it in KeyShot, make some nice renders, and present it to the director or whatever the purpose is of this image.
Yeah.
But a production modeler, let's say I'm working on a movie and this device is going to going into a shot. What will happen is a VFX team needs to digitally render this thing and put it in the final image. So what they have to do is they have to texture it, they have to do all these things, and that only can be done on a clean, prepared asset.
Correct.
So what will happen is they'll take this dirty model and they'll retopo it fully in quads or whatever is acceptable for the production. Someone will unwrap it and UV it and texture it, and then lighters will take it and do all the work on it. So that's basically what a production modeler does. They do the shitty job that we don't have to do.
Yeah, I agree with you, man.
So that's it.
And it's not only that. It's like, let's say
and no disrespect to 3D artists. I mean, all I'm saying is I hate doing UVs and everything, and that's what they do love. So to each their own.
Yeah, UVs are dying, dude. I think they're dying.
Yeah.
Edon, do you have like your own tutorials for?
I have a few Gumroads, and I have some free content on YouTube as well. So yeah.
Cool. All right. So anyone who's interested, those are your Gumroads here. Boom, go grab them. Cool. Yeah, I agree with you, man. It's like, also the difference is this, like, let's say you build this model, and even in some cases it's they can work with not perfectly quad model, but if you would have to go through like some kind of simulation where it's getting destroyed or something like that, that's becoming a big issue. In video games, it's impossible to use this kind of model. Like this would just break the game, basically.
Yeah,
you have to use quads. You have to be like very mindful of how the model is optimized and whatnot, because otherwise it's just gonna be a big mess. So yeah, so there you have it. Is there something similar to replicators in Moi? You know what replicators are, right? Like
of course, like the Moto replicators.
Yeah,
like
I think that's what we're talking about.
No, I don't think there is any. I mean, you have like the standard array type and everything, but like instancing and all that stuff is not in here. But hopefully in the next version, so we'll see.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. To have this in Moi, actually, I don't think it will make a lot of sense.
It's not what it's designed for in the first place,
Yeah, it's a different software, and I think you're gonna have much more luck. And you have to consider also this. That's gonna have a question to you as well. You might know, you might not, but you have to consider this. This is a solid building software. It's I don't think it's a parametric, this one, or maybe it is. Maybe I'm wrong, but like Fusion 360 is parametric solid building. It's a CAD. And there's always going to be a limit on how much you want to really throw into a CAD model, into a construction, because it just becomes slow and slow. You're going to have much more luck with building large scenes with a lot of details and a lot of things using regular 3D software like Maya or 3ds Max or Moto or any of those, because those that software has something like instances and references where you don't necessarily need to show millions of copies of the same object. You can use one and then reference it and replicate it around, and then work around that kind of design. But
yeah,
it doesn't make sense to have this 40,000 polygon, if it's decimated into actual polygons, 40,000 polygon model to be replicated hundreds of times, because it's just gonna be a bitch to work with, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
So so I personally, I've never found a need to have replicators in CAD software. And also replicators personally are cool, but it's very random. Like, you have no control over it. So you have to be mindful of that too. It's a cool result. It's like you want to be you want to create a lot of detail, but not necessarily design your detail. So it's good for like grass and shit. Like that makes a lot of sense. So
yeah,
grass and shit. What scale are you working when modeling in Moi? are you using, like, are you working in scale?
Well, you have the options here, so you can set the scales to meters, units, right, of the grid, units, centimeters, millimeters, inches, whatever. And let's say I work on a muzzle brake for a rifle, like the standard metric for the firearms are in inches, right?
Yeah.
So, and if we have a thread pitch like a half by 28 for an AR-15, I'll have to gauge that in inch and not in another metric. So I'll use whatever is needed for the project. And for stuff that I do regularly, I'll just set it to centimeters or meters depending on the rough scale of the object I'm making. That makes sense. And yeah, that's it.
Nice. Do. How do you approach making gun handles in Moi?
I don't. I'll do that stuff in Maya. It depends what kind of gun grip it will be. But if it's like a very organic shaped model and it needs some intricate cuts and sharp lines, what I'll do is I'll make the quad version in Maya, import it into Moi like I did earlier, demonstrated earlier, and we'll do the work on top and export back. But usually, if it's like this very modular P90 style frame, polymer frame, I can just like draw up some curves and loft it, to get the organic shape. So it's 50-50, I guess.
Yeah. There's certain things that are very easy to do in Moi and Fusion, and there are other things that are horrible to do in Moi and Fusion.
Definitely.
So I've been working on a project recently in which I thought I would be working in Fusion for most of the time, and I ended up doing most of the modeling in Max. So it's
really nice.
Yeah, it's just like it's like a tool. Like with anything, you just have to figure out what works for you, for a very specific thing that you're after. And if one thing doesn't work, don't beat your head into a wall and try to figure out for any cost. Like just try to try to use any tools that will get the job done, and it doesn't really matter what that is. If it's Moi or Fusion or SolidWorks or Maya, ZBrush, 3D Code, all of those things will get you there in most cases. But yeah. How heavy are the models from Moi or Fusion? Do you slow down? Do they slow down in 3ds Max viewport?
No. Oh,
yeah, you can
go
answer.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. And definitely with a 32-bit architecture of Moi right now, it cannot handle very large sets of data, right?
Yeah.
So let's say I have to make a robot or anything big for a movie or a game or whatever. What I'll do is I'll set up like a base in Maya so I know what the scales are, so I know everything is right. So I check it, double check, and then what I do is I work component by component. So let's say I need to make a robot. I'll start with the shoulders. If it's done, I can just export from Moi to Maya, and because they have the same settings, it appears in the same space, 3D space. So I can review it in Maya and go back and forth because I can just like update the model, right? And there's no bridge, by the way, because I saw some comments, and there's no bridge. So I'll do the exporting manually, but it's really fast. You set up some folders on the desktop, and it's like easy work. And then I'll build component by component, isolated in Moi because that is the fastest performance, and I'll check the entire model assembled in Maya. So that's how I do it, because the final exporting with all the assigned materials and everything is done out of Maya anyway. So it's really my preferred workflow, but you can figure it out for your own.
Yeah, and you can use OBJ or STL exports.
Yeah.
Or you can, like with 3ds Max specifically, you can actually import, IGS files and pretty much all the solid files, and then convert them inside the software. And you have a control, like how many polygons you want to see and whatnot. You can also, like, even if the object itself is too heavy, then you can decimate it. You can even go ahead and, like, let's say you have that OBJ from Moi or from you know, from Fusion, you can go into ZBrush and do a decimation master on top of it, and that's gonna work fine too. So there's always ways to optimize it for you know, for what you need to do, especially if you want to have a lot of details and then you have a lot of flat surfaces that might have like gazillions of triangles because of those details. That's gonna be a very easy fix for something like decimation master. So but yeah, it can become really really heavy if you're doing a lot of, like, you know, like what you're doing right now on the screen. Like, if you would have this to be a surface detail on your robot, that would be heavy as hell, you know. So
yeah, it would be crazy.
It would be crazy heavy, but still doable, you know. So
and
yeah.
And you can always push with raw power, but you know, like I've had to create like certain workflows, like, you know, the assembly in Maya, because I remember like seeing, you know, much where Vitaly's stream on, I think it was his Art Cafe or something, like you could see like the Korea mech he worked on, and I could see like the entire leg assembly in Moi, and even with Vitaly's rig, I saw Moi not performing optimally.
No,
right?
yeah, it's 32
and
bits.
I'm working and I'm working on a freaking 2015 MacBook, right? So just, you have to imagine, like, I don't have the strongest rig, but through like the optimization of workflow and doing the assembly in Maya, I can pull off pretty big models still.
Yeah.
So it's doable. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually curious. You know, do you know if the 64-bit is coming up soon, or is it gonna be in version 4?
Yeah, it's gonna be in version 4, but I don't know like when it's coming out, because this dude is working on his own, you know. So who knows how long it'll take? But
Right.
I hope soon.
Yeah. Oh well, you can always use Fusion.
Yeah, dude.
All right. Let me see. There's probably one more question or two more. One more question, and then there's one more question towards me, and I think we can start wrapping it up. Can you explain a bit more about the differences of CAD software and regular modeling software?
Yeah. So you have to understand that in Maya, for example, we are working with polygons. These are faces. So we have one face is a representation of 4 points in the cloud, or like in the space of the axes, right? So we got like the vertices 1, 2, 3, 4, and that represents one polygon, and that means that this is the way you create. So you're creating a volume with means of shells and connecting the shells together, like the faces. And that's how you come up with a model. Because if you go in, you know, it's hollow, so you're working with kind of a network of things to create a shape illusion. But in CAD, these are solids, so you don't have to think of shelling or like faces. This is like this is full of mass, so to speak, and there are no polygons. There's nothing. So you're only bound by the software's ability to do whatever algorithm it uses for the cuts. You don't have to worry about polygons. You don't have to worry about data. So basically, CAD is like the CAD is comparable to Illustrator to Photoshop. This would be the Illustrator to Maya, right?
Yeah.
Because the curve is vectorized. There is no edges. You know, if I create a if I bevel this, let me do that real quick. Where's the modeling toolkit? Right. So if I bevel this and I use segments, you can see that there's tessellation going on, right? So the lower the resolution of the curve would be, and the higher the finer it would be. So that's not the case in CAD. It's just there, right?
Yeah.
It's infinite. And that's basically how I would describe it. If you have a better definition, go ahead.
Yeah, CAD is basically what machines can do. You know, if you would want to machine it, that's basically what machines can do. It will work through all the Boolean and merging operations, basically. So think about it like, you know, CAD software like Moi and Fusion allows you to do a lot of crazy things, but at the end of the day, if it's not printed out, it's basically gonna be cut out from a big block. That's how you should think about it. So you're gonna have a big block, and then the machine's gonna go through and just drill through it to get the exact shapes that you created. That's how That's how you think about CAD. You cannot just select a surface and think the same way as polygons, where, oh, I'm gonna move it away. Like, it's not gonna work. It's just there.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot move it. Although in Fusion 360 you can. do you see that? I'm actually gonna show you my screen for a second, so you can actually see that happening. So if I go to Fusion, and I have any of those surfaces that we worked on, right? You can see it, right?
Yeah, on my phone, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. So I can select one of the sides and start rotating it in different directions. Like, not all directions, but in some directions. And it allows me to do like crazy stuff like this. And then move it as well. So you can see it's just affecting the stretch of the model as well at the same time. So it has a lot of like cool things like that. And I think the way I started to think about MOI and Fusion is that those two sort of like complement one another. There's certain things I would definitely do in MOI, and there's certain things that I would definitely do in Fusion. And the ability to move surfaces like this so easily, it's one of those things that I would do in Fusion. Because there is no way you can do this in MOI.
Yeah, no chance.
Yeah. No. You have to just rebuild the whole thing. And here is just like you have so much control over, what you're doing. And this is great. I love that. So. Yeah,
that's definitely a cool thing.
Yeah. A lot of good things back and forth. I think we had great run so far. I'm only going to answer one more question. Someone asked, I want to take a class, but will there be any sales or discounts for classes? All I can say about this is that we do discounts and sales every now and then, and usually if you follow our newsletter, and you can sign up to the newsletter on learnsquared.com, you'll definitely get an email when the discount things happen. And we had one big discount already on the Black Friday last year, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna be doing those kind of things every now and then. We do have discounts; they happen every now and then. So definitely follow the newsletter, because that's where you're gonna learn about it in the firsthand. So that out of the way, again, I'm gonna repeat that little thing that we discussed, which is anyone who's subscriber of the Twitch stream, and if you have any technical questions in regards to Fusion 360 or Photoshop specifically to me, then please use Learn Squared site. Go to the contact form and email the question. Make sure that you put your username from Twitch, from the Twitch chat, or your subscriber name from Twitch, so we can compare it. I think there's a tool that allows us to see who's subscribed, and we want to reward everyone who's following us and supporting the stream. That's great. It's not perfect. We're trying new ideas, and this is one of the ideas we want to try. And eventually, who knows, if it's gonna be cool and you guys are gonna like it, then we'll do more of it. But no portfolio reviews this time, so only technical questions. So let's try that. Let's see what happens. If maybe you're gonna say, Maciej, you're an idiot, and no questions to you, so then that's fine too. I won't be mad. So cool. All right, dude. It was great to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, dude.
Dude, again, like technical issues such as power surges and shit like that always happens. There's always something. But that's the beauty of just the raw thing. We're trying to be as best produced as possible. We're trying to add those bells and whistles, but just sometimes things don't work the way we want them to. So yeah, dude, glad to have you here. Thanks for showing a lot of good stuff on MOI. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have some questions to you later on too,
no problem.
and vice versa. If you have any questions in regards to Fusion, the things like, like this new sketching thing that I can add and
right.
do real quick, like, just please go ahead. I'll be there to help you, because you've been kind enough to help us too. So,
awesome,
dude, yeah. Anytime you want to come back, feel free. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have Curtis Chan from Fusion 360 soon. Actually, it would be nice to, I was thinking maybe getting what's his name, Michael, who created Moi.
Oh, Michael Gibson. Yeah, it
Yeah,
would be nice.
maybe it will be an interesting stream to have him on the stream and show us things that we don't even know that existed.
Yeah, let's try to get him on.
Yeah, let's try to get him on. That would be cool. So we'll do our best to get him on. Not a promise. Just
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.
Cheers.